Welcome and all to the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. I'm just an ordinary gentleman named Danny, who happens to be your host. Hope you're all enjoying your blends day. We're here today to add another blend to the cellar. We're going to be filling up the Ordinary Gentleman Cellar Jar number 5 with a little bit of Cornell and Deal's Pegasus. So this one comes to us by way of Ghost Cobb. I don't know that he directly recommended it to me, but he has definitely talked about it enough that when I was shopping, I just had to pick a little bit up. And of course, I can't smoke Ghost Cobb's favorite blend for the first time out of anything other than a corn cob. So we've got out the Country Gentleman today by Missouri Meerschaum. Been enjoying this nice little cob here. So we're going to open this up and get a little first impressions. Let's see. That is interesting. Reminds me of catfish bait at the bottom of a tackle box. I know it's a weird thing to think, but it's got this kind of earthy muskiness to it. But there's definitely something in the background, something with a little bit more twinge. I kind of want to say citrus-like, but it's definitely not citrusy. Just a twingy or tanginess that seems like it's existing in the background. Yeah, definitely got a little twinge of something there. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe the Virginias. Anyway, let's open it up. Let's get it in a tin. Let's get it jarred up. Set those off to the side. Let y'all get a nice pour. May even do some nice looking slow motion stuff. You know, this is very fluffy. I'm not used to a tobacco being this fluffy. Just kind of springy in nature. Try to get as much of it in the jar as possible. It's actually quite difficult to try to do this on camera. My hands are extended way out in front of me, so it's hard to be real accurate. Hopefully I don't lose more than just a bit off of the side. There we go. Like I said, nice and springy. This is only 1 ounce worth of Pegasus, and usually I can fit most of 2 ounces inside of a jar. I usually get my bulk at about 2 ounces at a time, and then fill one of the jars nice, and then have a little bit left over that I can enjoy without having to open the jar back up. But I've been working on how I'm going to do the overall flow of these episodes, because adding stuff to my cellar, when you start bringing in a bunch of technology and data tracking and all that stuff, there's a lot of input that it takes to make that happen. So I'm trying to cut out as much of that, just me typing and setting up tags and codes and things like that, to just focus on just experiencing the tobacco for the first time and enjoying the first smoke. So let's head on over to the hub of the Ordinary Gentleman cellar, and we'll see the input. Alright guys, we're over here at the hub, the mainframe, if you will, of the cellar, and we're filling up jar number 5 here. I went ahead and inputted the data for us. It's tobacconist, that's going to be Cornell and Deal. Pegasus Blend is what it's called here in the cellar. I'm into mythology and stuff like that, so just Pegasus is actually already taken up in my vault. So we're going with Pegasus Blend to keep track of it. It is a bulk, It came to us in a bulk format, and we're jarring it up on 7/11 of 23. I need to fix that so it notates that it's 23. And of course, recommended by the one, the only Mr. Ghost Cobb. I went ahead and made sure our tag works because we are going to be enjoying a bit of this here today for our first time. So we went ahead and scanned it in and made sure the tag works. And we'll head over to the notes page. So I did a little browsing on everybody's favorite review site, tobaccoreviews.com, to pull some of the basic information for this blend. We've got it covered in here in hashtag format. This is going to keep track of all of our different blend components for us and let you know what I'm favoring at the time. So this has got a little bit of Black Cavendish in it. It's a burley-based blend, but it does have a bit of Virginias. They say that it's 3 burley tobaccos, 2 Virginia tobaccos, with a touch of unsweetened Black Cavendish for that classic American blend, harkening back to the days when burley was king in American pipe tobacco blends. I don't know who they get to write all this stuff. Somebody sits around and just writes up all of this. Say reminiscent of an original Bond Street blend. We'll say that our pre-smoke characteristics, I'll call the tin aroma pleasant. I would say it's pleasant, although be it very musky, more earthy tone. So if you're into that sort of thing, we haven't tried it yet. I'm going to say that there's no added flavorings to this. I didn't notice any. There may be something floating around in the background that I just can't pick up, but I'm going to say it's a no added flavoring kind of thing. Preparation notes, easy to prepare for smoke. It's ribbon, so we're just going to kind of stuff it in there. I'm going to say that's pretty easy. Well, let's see how it packs. We're at the packing section, so we'll pack it up. 1 second, I'll hop to the screen so you can watch with me. So let's see how she goes here. We got to get the packing notes. Like I said, it's just some ribbon, so it seems to be falling apart pretty well. I'd say its moisture content is so-so. It's not exactly what I would consider a moist blend, but seems to pack nice enough anyway. About what you would expect. And we're not going to do anything too fancy here. I know a lot of people are all about the looser at the bottom and progressively tighter and everything else. I'm not that fancy. I'm just a throw some of it in there and see how it goes kind of guy. I'm sure I'm missing out on some of the finer points to it all, but you know, I'm still new at this, so this seems to work well for me. Throw stuff in there and enjoy. Yeah, I'd say it packs like any other normal tobacco. True test be how does it smell? That's what I'm concerning myself with. I don't. All the other data is just so I can keep track. But I guess we'll see how she goes soon enough. All right, let's jump back to our notes screen. So, packing. I mean, you've seen it. It's some ribbon. You just throw it off in there. If you want to get fancy with it, by all means, get fancy with it. I'm going to call it easy to pack myself. Moisture content. I'm going to say good moisture content, maybe even on the drier side of things. I definitely don't think it needs to dry out any, so I'm going to go ahead and just say moisture content seems pretty good. So we're to smoking characteristics now. And unfortunately, I need to adjourn to the canopy to enjoy those sorts of things. So I'll take you along on the mobile setup. We'll sit out there and give it a light. Welcome in. Thanks for joining me out here in the canopy. We're sitting down enjoying a little bit of Pegasus by Cornell and Deal out of the Country Gentleman. This is one that Ghost Cobb is always talking about. I wanted to give it a go, so we added some to the cart. You seen the tin opening and first impressions on it just a second ago, but I wanted to do my first smoke and talk about what I thought. When I opened the actual package and just kind of give it a whiff for the first time, it reminded me of kind of a pond-like setting, more of an earthy, musky kind of note, almost the bottom of a tackle box full of catfish bait, but not in a negative way, not at all in a negative way, just kind of a woodsy, earthy sort of deal is what I was getting off of it. My impressions on the smoke side of things, though, is a lot different. I lose quite a bit of that earthy tone that I was expecting. Quite mild, almost mellow even. Kind of reminds me of a freshly brewed tea. Strength-wise, somewhere around that English tea blend as far as just the intensity of flavor. Not quite as big and bold as an Irish breakfast, which is my favorite tea, by the way, but kind of a softer presentation. It doesn't have the spiciness that I would expect out of something like, say, an Earl Grey, but it definitely gives me something reminiscent of a tea flavor. Not a little heavier of a warm tea than what I would want on a nice summer afternoon like this. I suspect this blend would be better enjoyed at about 5 o'clock in the morning, just as the sun was coming up. Still cool on the day, just starting out. If I was going to have it in the summertime, that's when I would enjoy it. Maybe something I save for that transition between summer and fall, when you're not quite ready to have something big and robust like the spiced blend. You're not really into that heavy cinnamon and nutmeg kind of season, warm fires, big roasty flavors, but maybe in the transition between the two, when it's just first starting to cool off, would be a good time for this. Just some initial thoughts. Of course, when I'm doing blend reviews, we'll continue on to have it both filtered and unfiltered. I'm enjoying it unfiltered at the moment, so we'll add a filter in here and try it filtered. We'll put it in the briars and we'll add it to the meerschaum. We'll put it in the meerschaum when we enjoy a smoke out of it a little later on. And I'll try it at a few different times a day, just so I can get a really good representation of what the blend has to offer, and we'll be back with more thoughts. So we're back here in the cellar to do our initial impressions, our first smoke. So let's go over some smoking characteristics. Keep in mind that this list will change and kind of be modified over time as we get more experience with the blend and we try it in more different situations out of a bunch of different pipes. So let's start off here. Smoking characteristics, cool or hot? I'm going to say it's on the cooler side of smoke. Now, I wouldn't say that it's cold, but it's definitely on the cooler side. Out of the Country Gentleman, it was a fairly dry smoke. That may change out of a different pipe, but we're going to mark it as a dry smoke for now. As far as clean or not clean burning, we'll just leave that alone. Easy to keep lit or hard to keep lit? I'm going to go easy to keep lit, mostly because it's just a ribbon cut. It's on the drier side when I got it. Maybe it's just my sample. I kind of just packed it, did the charring light, lit it once, and it went. As long as I wasn't jabbering on and letting it go out, it stayed lit fairly easily. Consistent flavor throughout, or flavor varies. I'm going to say this has a very consistent flavor throughout. Mostly what I got was that warm tea characteristic I was explaining. Aroma to the smoker. I'm going to say that was a pleasant aroma. As far as room notes, I was smoking in an outdoor environment, so I don't really have a room note to speak of. So we're just going to leave that alone until we try it in a different environment. Nicotine content. I'm going to say that's medium-ish, but probably on the lower side of medium, at least to my perception. Your mileage may vary on that. We're all different people, but I'm going to say medium low. Overall strength, again, I'm going to say medium to medium low. It didn't have that boldness that I was expecting out of the 10 note, and I'm really searching for that boldness. I hope I find it. This was very pleasant, though. I'd say medium low as far as overall strength. As far as flavor elements, natural sweetness, I'm going to say that it's about in the middle. I wouldn't say that it's just overly sweet naturally, but it does have a little bit of something going on. I'm going to say about middle ground on that. As far as sweetness from added flavorings, I don't detect any added flavorings. If they're there, they're very subtle to my palate. So I'm not going to mark anything. I don't think there's added sweetness to this blend. Now, descriptors. Earthy, I definitely get earthy. Musty, not as much as I was expecting from the 10 note. I don't even really get a musty sort of thing in the smoke itself. Toasty, I will give it a bit of toasty characteristic. Fruit, I don't get any sort of fruit. No cooked fruit, no plum, fig, citrus. As far as the spicy characteristic, I was hoping for one, but there isn't really any spicy or peppery characteristic to this. Chocolate or cocoa, I don't get any of that. No vanilla, caramel, definitely no licorice notes, at least not to my palate. I don't get a brown sugar or floral. Herbal, I'll give it a little bit of an herbal characteristic to it. There is a tangy, I don't want to say tang, I'm going to mark it, but I want to say that there's a tanginess to it. There's definitely a twang. There's something hanging out very distant in the background. I got it in the 10 note and a little bit in the smoke, but I'm going to say that when I mark this tangy, just know that it's not like a twang, tang, sort of vinegar Virginia thing. It's just a little something. Woody note? Not really. I don't get any woods or any nuttiness, no oats. Grassy, I'll give it a little bit of a grassy or almost hay-like characteristic. Kind of like an underwhelming Saison, if that makes any sense. If you're a beer drinker and you've enjoyed some Saison, it's like something that I don't feel like they should be able to call a Saison, but they do. Now, for the what other words, phrases, descriptors, that sort of thing, I'm going to hold off on this. I don't want to lock anything in yet. I don't have any experience other than this first smoke, so I'm going to leave that alone for now. So these are just some of my initial impressions. Like I said, this is all going to kind of change and morph. If you're one of those people who just enjoy hearing a yes or no sort of answer on the reviews, you can wait until my final review and I'll give you a yes or no answer, whether I'm going to be stocking it, whether I recommend it. But the whole purpose of all of this is to bring those folks along who like the process, like seeing how it all unfolds. So that's what all of this is about. If you're one of those, just tell me whether you like it or not. Just tune into the final reviews for that sort of stuff. So I'm Danny from the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. Wishing you well. I hope you're all enjoying a fine Blends Day afternoon. And we'll see you on the next one.